Hi, and welcome to the Friday episode of Stop Chasing Skinny. Just a bite-sized bit of information. And welcome to Friday again. If you have trouble getting through your week and getting to Friday and you feel like Friday will never come, I recommend producing a podcast that has to come out every Friday. And you'll be like, oh my gosh, it's here again already. So this week I wanted to talk about moderation and out training that bad diet. I know I've said it multiple times, but I think I even learn a little more about it every single month, right? It's this ongoing process. So what I wanted to talk about today is my Fitbit stats. So since moving here to California, Stephen and I have been hiking a lot. So we were obviously physically active in Charleston, and moving out to California, I didn't really expect it to be like so much more. But when I look at my stats for how much time I've been exercising, like my minutes of activity and the number of steps I've been taking, the distance I've been covering, it's crazy to see how much more that is compared to how many more calories I've been burning. So I will include an image here in the show notes with what my steps look like, or what my active minutes look like. You'll see that there is a huge difference in the months of July and August since I've been out here. So the active minutes, it went from an average of about 30 up to about an hour and a half. So that increased significantly, right? That's like 3 times the amount. But when you look at the number of calories that I've been burning based on my heart rate, my height, weight, blah, 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 that has only gone up a little bit. So previous months prior to moving out here, my average was about 1,900 a day, 2,000, 2,100. Since being out here, being super active in the months of July and August, my calorie burn rate only went up to about 2,300 to 2,400 for July and like barely hit 2,500 for August. So you can see how I have increased my activity by 3 times. But my calorie burn has only gone up by 300 to 500 calories. So 300 to 500 calories, just to put this into perspective. The other day we were at a coffee shop and Stephen grabbed one of these vegan cookies. You see them everywhere now. It's a pretty big cookie and he treats it like a meal. So it's not, it's not the end of the world, but he was super surprised to see it had over 300 calories, like 320, I think. So if you think about it like that, with the calories in, calories out in mind, you can see how one cookie could negate all that extra activity I've been doing. So that's where I think we get into these huge dilemmas with how much we can eat, what moderation really looks like. It may be moderate to have one small dessert every day, but if that one small dessert is keeping you from making progress, that's significant. And so you have to just decide if that dessert is worth it, if it's not worth it. Because a lot of times what I hear from clients who are training really hard, especially the ones that are training really hard, they say, it's just not fair. I should be seeing results by now. Well, I mean, you can try to negate that, negotiate it, talk your way through it all you want. But the laws of nature dictate that there is no fairness or unfairness about it, that it really comes down to what we are doing every single day. So I see that all the time. I don't really want to watch my food. I think I'm living in moderation. And you may be living in moderation, but if it's keeping you from your goals, then you have to reevaluate that, because just saying, oh, it's so frustrating, that's not going to change anything. So I want to move on to frustration. So frustration, a lot of times we just like sit in it, right? We talk about it, we stew over it, we try to negotiate our way through things. Frustration can be a really good eye-opener, because frustration is kind of like physical pain, and it's an emotional pain, right? But we could recognize it, just like physical pain shows that there's a symptom, something needs to change. Well, that's what's happening with frustration. Frustration is an emotional or mental symptom that shows up when something needs to change. So it's pretty interesting that this frustration comes down to physical change. It's because we're looking at symptoms here. Something's kind of out of balance, not quite right. Something needs to change. So instead of getting frustrated with frustration, which I see way too often, recognize the frustration, pinpoint where the problem is, and then try to find a different way to get to that solution. So maybe your go-to in the beginning was to exercise more. Maybe that worked for you initially, but eventually that stops working. I mean, an hour and a half a day average is what the activity level is these days with all these hikes, right? But I've only burned 300 to 500 extra calories. That's like one margarita. That's a couple glasses of wine. It really doesn't take much to make up for that. So I just wanted to talk about that because I think a lot of people get stuck in that. They think I'm doing everything right, but there could be more to do. So have a great weekend. Enjoy your Labor Day. Don't totally overdo it because otherwise you'll pay for it later.